we did not discuss. We
It's not a
just
problem.
confirmed. Awesome, awesome. We are
Yeah.
live on the late night show with your host Chi Styles. Welcome, welcome to another super exciting episode. I have been offline for a while. I think I came on live and went and talked to someone who came on our show a few weeks ago. So we're happy to be back. Thank you to all our viewers, those who are going to see this show now in the future, those who are going to stop by with us live today, and those who are going to give us a chance to share this with their friends and their family. I'm going to switch my phone off because I said I would before and I had not done so. And welcome to sitting with us today is the one and only, I shouldn't say Professor Doctor, I should say all those things. Oludare Akinlaja. I want to give you titles instantly. I'm like, see which title I
um,
start with. He is an entrepreneur and he's one of those people you need on your team to help you build your business. Welcome, sir, to the show today. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to be here, Chichi. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Your bubbly and exciting self too. You are ginger too, you know.
I mean, I'm
Helping,
telling
help.
you, it's like I get
Yeah,
excited. I get excited about
yeah,
spotlighting others. I think that is one of the key things our show, our company always wanted to do when we started doing
yeah.
our TV shows and content development. It was always about giving other people the spotlight. And so it's an honor to
Yes.
be sitting with you today. You are live from
Thank you.
one of Nigeria. Now, Nigeria, know they carry last. We know that. That's like the
Lagos,
definition.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Lagos, Nigeria in the house. And this year alone, we've interviewed over 35 people from all over the world. So our team's very
Wow.
excited what we've done. He's also a FlixReps coach. So our FlixReps platform has opened the door for us to have conversations with folks from all over the world about
Yeah.
media, film, books, content, documentaries. And to me, it is a business on its own because it
Mm.
offers the conversation to continue to grow. Which brings
Yeah.
me to the reason why we're meeting today, the
Yeah.
leadership revolution.
Revolution.
Drum
Yes.
roll.
Drum roll.
I'm going to talk a little bit about you and what you
Mm,
have done and what you've accomplished. I'm going to sort of introduce you. I wish I could
mm.
just have you introduce yourself, but it won't be fair, right? Maybe I should do that. Just have you tell us a little
No.
bit about yourself. Then I
Yes, I
wouldn't
think.
have
I
to
think.
do it. So how about you do that? How
Yes.
about you do that? Everyone knows who I am. So you tell us who you
Oh,
are
yeah.
we'll go from there.
Okay, so my name is Oludare Akinlaja. I'm a development consultant first. I lecture. I am also an author and a conference speaker. I run a company here in Nigeria and two other African countries. It's called Oludare Akinlaja Research and Development Company. It's a learning, research, and development company. The mandate is simple. We want to close skill gaps within our communities and promote social innovation. Okay, so we are improving the capacity of individuals to become more skillful, to become more effective, because it's literally, if you don't, no matter how beautiful your system is, if you don't have individuals to power it, to manage it, and to manage that process, you will literally not be able to build anything. So that's what we're focused on. That's what I'm focused on, and that's what we're focused on as a company. I'm a passionate believer in the strength of the African continent, of course, but I'm also very particular about collaboration. So for me,
Right.
collaboration has no skin color, has no skin type, has no
Right.
has no country, has no nation. It's literally all of us coming together to see how we can build a better society. So that's in a nutshell, that's what I do. Thank you, Chichi.
That is super sweet. And then how we met
Yeah,
is because of your passion for the youth,
yeah,
which is what brings us to today's book. I'm really super excited because now,
yeah.
so when before the show, we were talking
Mm,
about the time span when you wrote the book. I was
mm,
asking questions like,
mm,
was this book written during or after this whole issues with the youth in Nigeria? When
mm.
did you write this book? And you were clear that you wrote this book before. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about the inspiration of the leadership revolution.
All right. So I first wrote this book in 2017, and this book was written even before they passed, because there's a bill currently passed in the House in Nigeria, the Not Too Young to Rule bill, that allowed young people of certain ages to be able to run for office. Now, this book was written even before that bill.
Oh
This
wow.
book was written even before the protest or whatever it was. Now, I had up for close to 7 to 8 years. I hope I can use this as an example. I literally saw it in a very beautiful Hebrew text, which is what the Christians call their Bible. It
Okay.
literally opened to me that there is a generation called the Moses generation, and
Okay.
there is a generation called the Joshua generation. Now,
Okay.
there is a journey that the Moses generation can take us to.
Okay.
That journey stops, where a Joshua generation will have to take up that journey to take whatever is left of our countries into another phase. So
Okay.
it speaks about succession plan. It speaks about mentoring. It speaks about leadership. It speaks about understanding what leadership is. So from that text or from that understanding was what made me write the leadership revolution. That there is a generation that must be allowed to lead, a generation that must be allowed to be responsible for their environment, a generation that must be allowed to become the CEO of multinationals and conglomerates, not using their age as benchmarks for giving them responsibilities. If they have the capacity, their age should not be a limitation. And that's what inspired me to write the book. And of course, looking at the African continent, for instance, the African population of young people is the largest population of young people situated per square meter, literally. Out of every 10 Africans, maybe 4 or 5 are going to be between the ages of 15 and 35.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you have that high demography of young people, you must be speaking to what excites them. You must be speaking to what can build their capacity. You must be speaking to be upskilling them. You must be speaking to creating businesses. You must be speaking to creating jobs. So that's really what drove me to focus on the leadership revolution. Then the trigger point. I was part of a program that was organized by Mastercard Foundation in partnership with Ashoka. So I'm an Ashoka Changemaker scholar. And through that program, there was something we discovered, and it was called waithood.
With hood.
I'll explain what waithood means.
Okay.
Waithood means that, yes, waithood, W-A-I-T, hood, waithood. The African continent has the largest number of young people who have not transited from parental tutelage into their own adult responsibility.
Oops. Don't tell my mom
Yes.
that.
No. That's what it is. So you have in Africa, you have people who are 34, 35 who still have to live with parents. Now, the research done is not that they want to do that or their
Mm.
parents are forcing them to do that. It's simply because there is no transition from school to work, for instance, from school to the compulsory 1 year youth service. Then they can find jobs, then they can find houses, and they can transit to become responsible for themselves. There's
Okay.
always that backlog of people who are still looking for jobs for 4 or 5 years.
Mm.
Backlog of people who are trying to have to leave school because of persistent strikes. So you
Mm.
you you always have a backlog of people that the system is deliberately keeping in. So for the easiest word that people in the Western world can understand is you are kept in holding.
Oh,
So you are literally kept in holding. You can't go back, you can't go forward. So you are stuck between your school and having to transit into some form of adult responsibility or the other. So that was also a trigger in writing this book. So this book came a long time before that. I feel that the world at large, and this is not just an African problem, everybody from Nigeria to Australia to America to London to Canada must be designing solutions for young people. They must be part of the framework of whatever decision that you are making. And that's what made me write this book.
which brings me to my next question, chapter 4.
Yes.
You
Yes.
talked about all these countries, and I
Yes.
said to myself, one of the first things, because you're an African writer and you're writing from the space of seeing
Mm,
the world through your
mm,
lens, tell me
mm,
why the inclusion in all these other countries, why the
mm.
message is still relevant for them.
Now, why the message is relevant for them is, so, first of all, it is inspirational. Inspirational in the sense that if it has been done somewhere on this earth where human beings exist, it is possible within our climate.
Okay.
If it has been done somewhere else, the next question you're going to ask yourself is what is or what had to be done for that to be possible?
Right.
How was it possible for the prime minister in Canada to be prime minister at that age? How was it possible for the president in France to be president at that age? If you
Okay.
look at it closely, they were constitutionally able to make that happen. And that's why I was excited with the bill that was passed for the not too young to run in Nigeria, for instance. I had reduced the age range of people who could run for office. That's a box ticked, for instance. Okay. And most of these countries in Western world were reference points when driving that when they were actually pushing for that bill.
Okay.
Okay, which is why we can't really because the easiest way to push a message is to look for a reference.
Right.
Of course, many factors come into play: location, environment, culture,
Right.
all that comes into play, but it's still a reference point. It's possible. So the next thing I looked at, which what I wrote in the book, is if you look at the people who became presidents and who became presidents or prime ministers at young ages, the trajectory is literally still the same. Chichi, trajectory is
Okay.
still the same. So let me explain something. I was shocked when I heard that the president of France had worked in Nigeria before in the foreign affairs department or in the embassy, the French embassy in Nigeria when he was a teenager.
Oh.
So what that means is that he had been in the funnel towards
Exposed.
what he eventually became. Exactly.
He was exposed
So
to it.
it's the same principle. So I used this nations in my book because I wanted people to get the principle. I know cultures are different. I know applications are different, but the principles are still the same.
Right.
Principles meaning you must get in early. You must get in early.
Right.
I can't validate the picture whether it's wrong or whether it is or it's not. But there was a picture flying around Nigeria when the Canadian the prime minister in Canada came into office. There was this picture of a young boy who was having a handshake with the then Nigerian head of state, Yakubu Gowon. He was a child when he was already sitting with when he was already in that environment. So the principle literally is the same. Okay, different environments either make it quicker, faster, slower for those principles to eventually come to
be in
play.
effect.
But the truth is that the principles are the
That's
same.
still the same. I'm going to ask my next question. In the event that this bill was passed, okay, it's
Yeah,
made available,
yeah.
why are we still seeing the turmoil that we saw last year in terms of,
Mm,
so you have told the youth of Nigeria, we're going to use that for an
mm,
example. You've told them
yeah,
that they can serve, they can
yeah,
request for leadership, they can
yeah,
run for office.
yeah,
It's clear there's a bill that
mm,
states, but yet they can't get to school. They can't be
mm,
educated enough to
yeah,
understand what you're talking about. They can't leave high school. They can't even properly just go to school,
yeah,
get the education that is required for them to
yeah,
run for office. How are we
yeah.
bridging that gap in that conversation? And did you highlight that in your book?
So I did, and that's why I spoke about responsibility and the effect of building capacity. Okay, building capacity and educating yourself. Now, this is why it is important. There is the responsibility that is placed on the individual, and
Okay.
there is a responsibility that is also placed on the system.
Right.
Now, that's why I didn't just write a book. If I just wrote a book and sat back to make money from the book, that would be different. I'm
Right.
literally developing programs, trying to engage these young people, helping them through that process,
Right.
trying to prepare them, okay, trying to upskill them, make them responsible, give them the skills required, then creating internship systems for them, creating businesses where they can be able to serve. So it's not just writing a book and letting them be, okay. That's
Right.
that's not
Right.
what it is. You,
You're
you have
working
to,
on
yeah,
things,
yeah,
yes, that
exactly. You
have
have
the
to be
conversation
involved.
with young people.
Exactly.
Right.
Working with government officials too in developing projects, working with people in places of authority and telling them, we can't do this just by writing a book. We have to be involved. speaking to people who are in the diaspora, for instance, telling them, you know what, I know you are afraid of bringing things back, you're afraid of coming back, but there's a lot you can still do, either with your resources, with collaborations. We can do 10 people, 20 people, 50 children, 100 children, 200 children. Let's help them through. Let's help them through. Let's see how we can upskill them, make them self-sufficient. Okay, make them see life differently, make them live slightly above what they understand to be. What happened in that turmoil was because young people still do not trust the system. Now, and that's it. It's a trust issue. Now, but one of the advantages of the Western world, or people call developed economies, is trust in institutions.
Right.
If there are no institutions you can trust, no matter what you say, people will still think that you are lying to them.
That's true.
So that's what happened. So you can tell the young people you have given them a bill, but you just solved one part of the value process, you have not solved the other. So you have given me the bill that I can run, but obviously I'm not going to be able to raise 500 million naira as a budget to run for office. So you have given me on one hand, you have taken from the other hand and told me, okay, since it is what you want, so you take. But you have not fully democratized the process, for lack of use of a word. You are still keeping certain things to yourself. All right, and that's why we had what we had that last time. Young people are saying, and most of the time it's because if you have lived long enough, Nigeria and Africa generally, you will see where government have always gone back on their words, have always said something and changed their mind about it. Somebody wakes up one morning and changes his mind, and another person says something. What is the implementation? So young people came out not because they are not saying you have not done it, but they've seen where people have said so much and yet have not implemented anything. Okay, so that's why I think people like us, who are individuals, who have companies, who have organizations, who can have collaborations, can also serve as parallel systems. I always use the word parallel systems. Can serve as interventions. Can serve as interventions to build that trust, to build that system of growth. Because for some of these people, it might just be having to know they can wake up and have food to eat and be able to fend for their family. That's all they want.
Right. They may not be wanting to run for office. They want to survive.
No, they just want to survive.
Right. I want to ask a little bit about the parallel systems you discussed. Tell me a list of the programs you are doing, and tell me a little bit about how students all over the world are finding you. I know we are working together on Flix Reps because we serve on that media side, but media speaks a lot because media has a voice. There are certain things you can put in a film and a video that you cannot tell your government. But you can make a film and your government watches it and they're like, are they saying something to us? Yes,
we can even show it abroad and not show it in Nigeria, and doesn't affect it. They can't ban it.
Some things to show in certain countries because it's like you're telling us too much as the government. You are the people, but you can't say that to us. So tell me a little bit about the parallel systems that you're working on. Tell me a little bit about some of the systems, and towards the end of the program, we'll talk a bit about how the kids can find you. But tell me, who are the youth, the ages who can benefit from these parallel systems that you've put together? What kind of students, youth, and Joshua generations that you are looking for, and even maybe the Moses generations? What kind of people are you looking to lead in order to take us to this new frontier that your book is talking about, the leadership revolution?
So we're speaking to basically what the United Nations calls the young demography, will be between the ages of 15 and 35. Okay. And the reason why we have that demography, we literally divided our programs along those lines. So for instance, we have a program that we call the Young Leaders Development Program. The Young Leaders Development Program is for children between the ages of 15 to 18. Now, in Nigeria, the age range between college, I think it's called college and the university, or high school, sorry. I think it's high school now in America. So that's secondary school here, and entering the university. You literally have them between the ages of 15 and 18.
Yes, pretty much.
Now, exactly. And now that age range is a very essential window in their lives. That's when peer pressure sets in. That's when they begin to make life critical decisions. That's when you either gain them or lose them, literally. Okay. So we designed this young leadership program to serve as a mentorship program. Okay. We guide them. We are counseling them. you are giving them skills, technology skills, okay? You are giving them soft skills. You are giving them, you are building their character, building their competence, okay? Helping them understand team building, helping them understand character, helping them understand responsibility. So that's what we're doing with the Young Leaders Development Program. Now we still run it as an offsite program where people come together for 3 weeks. Then,
Okay.
but we're planning to expand it to make it look like a 3-month thing, where 90 days, where people can come together on a camp, in a site,
Okay.
bring them together, bring mentors, speaking to them, helping them. You see, what I tell people is that you might not be able to get everybody, but you see, I'm a product of intervention programs, and I understand how powerful it is. I'm a product of somebody just designing a program to say, I know I cannot help the world, but that one person that I can help with this, let me do it. And if you ask Chichi, for instance, anybody watching this, most of us watching this are products of just one program. Not
Somebody.
everybody was able to benefit for it, but
Yep.
one person was able to benefit from it. And that's
Right.
that's what we're looking forward to doing. There are other programs that have to do with after graduate development program for university graduates. There's so
Okay.
much. So what we do is that we go to cluster points of the young demography. When I mean cluster points, I mean points where you will literally have young people trying to make transitions.
Okay.
So one transition point is high school to college, for instance.
Okay.
That's a major transition point.
Right.
Okay. Another transition point is you are done with college, you are done with university, you are trying to get jobs.
Master's or program
that's a
or
that's a
further
transition.
education. Okay.
That's a transition. Some people they want to further, they want to go into business. A transition could even be you are tired of working, you want to start a business. That's a transition.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we're literally looking at transition points because we know those are the points where people are either stranded or are helped to make better decisions. If you meet a person at his transition point, it's usually the most vulnerable moments of anybody.
Right. They'll do anything
Yes.
probably or any. Tell me about your
Yeah.
results. Tell me about the results you've seen
Mm,
in the
mm,
years of doing this or some of your, I don't want to use the word expectation. Let's start with
mm.
results first. And then let's
Yeah.
talk about what the youth can
Mm,
expect from a program.
mm,
Because
mm.
3 months, 3 weeks seems like a very short time. My face frowned a
Yeah.
little bit. It almost seems to
Yeah.
me like a mentor is someone you have for a while. I have mentors 7 years. I
Mm.
think they're still holding my hand. I'm still like referring to what my mentor
Yeah.
do at
Yeah.
this moment. Sometimes I
Mm,
hear my mentor's voice. What are you doing?
mm.
That's not the way
Yeah.
I taught you. I think it carries for a while. So tell me
Yeah.
the results first that
Mm,
you are
mm,
anticipating, the
mm.
results you've seen, and what young people should anticipate from some of the either softer programs or extensive programs you guys are offering.
Okay, so thank you, Gigi. So the thing with results is literally the more support or the more collaborations or investments you have, the more you can do, the more you
Right.
can scale. Okay, so we know that literally to increase your results, you have to keep these children together more. You can't teach a person team building and collaboration without bringing them together to do more things. Okay,
Right.
where they can hold a project together. You can tell them, okay, the case study. Put yourselves in groups of 12s or 7s or 8. Your case study within these 3 months is to come up with a project that will solve the drug problem in so and so community, or to be able to change the refuse challenge in so and so community. Okay, they can only work on that when they're together in a place. All
Mm.
right, but also it's going to cost you so much to bring them together in that same place at the same time to get that kind of thing done. Okay, so that's why we said the 3 weeks. So what we can do within the 3 weeks, for most people, what we achieve in 3 weeks is literally creating clarity for them.
Okay.
So for some of them, when they came, they wanted to be this. They were not sure whether they wanted to do this. They were not sure whether they wanted to do that. But that 3 weeks, we try to use the 3 weeks. So our focal point for 3 weeks is to create clarity that this is the direction I want to go in and not this direction. Based on my history, based on my personality, based on my strength, based on my experience, or based on my exposure, this will be the best thing for me to do and not this. So for instance, one of the one of the most scary things for some parents in Nigeria is to hear their children say, "I want to sing music. I want to be like the banjo Davido, for instance." And the parents like after paying 4 point something million as salary as school fees, like that's about maybe $200,000. You then now want to go and sing song. Sing what song? What song
Right.
are you singing? And you trust an African parent. What song are you singing?
Singing.
You know,
Right.
so but what we have found out is that most of these young people, you literally can create directions for them. Okay, so they don't
Okay.
feel they are losing out on that passion. they don't feel they are losing out on that drive. For instance, there was one who wanted to sing music, and I sat with him. His dad was worried, and I sat with him. That was like maybe 6, 7 years ago. As I speak to you now, Chichi, he's going for his PhD in music. So
Okay.
so he so he win and win. We like created a win and win. Daddy is not uncomfortable that he's going to sing music, and he's literally doing music. So what we try to do is help them refocus, help them re-engineer their thoughts and say, you know what, if you do it like this, you might be frustrated. You might go and join a
Mm,
queue of people who are not. So that's what we can do with 3 weeks. But like I said, those are the results we can get. So, but once there's more support, more collaboration, so that's why it's something I speak to the diaspora market, to the diaspora population, and say there's so much you can do. I know there's a challenge of trust, but there are people who are literally getting their feet dirty, who will need that collaboration, who will need that, and there's so much we can do. So much. For instance, those who cannot even stay, who can get scholarships to go to schools abroad. Maybe we do play sports, for instance. There was one I worked on with somebody who wanted them to play sports. Okay, when they came to Nigeria, and I told them, I said, the system you are using to get this done is going to frustrate you. So they were just going to random schools and picking people who could play sports and taking them abroad.
oh,
Now
wow.
the challenge was that the schools abroad did not just want someone who could play sport; they also wanted someone who was academically sound.
Of course. Yes.
But but the danger is that in Nigeria, 85% of the time, you hardly find someone who can play football who will concentrate in class.
Yes. Yes. I was very talented, and my books were looking at me as I was looking at it. Well, talents were
That's
there. I could run track, I could do all these cool things.
yeah, yeah,
But like reading my book was like, why am I even doing this? I could use my hands to go do something else. I was always so
yeah.
good at creative. And then in my book, I'd be looking at it like, how can I create a way to get this thing over with?
Over the that
Because
that
it's
and
not
that
really my thing.
it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse and frustrating, the curriculum is not even trying to make advancements to help people even enjoy it a bit. The people who are teaching are not also in that psychological space to understand there is a better way to teach what you have. You can't be teaching it the way it was taught 30 years ago, for
Mm.
instance. So
And you
all
have a
that,
group of kids in the class who are not
yeah,
moving at the pace
at
of
the
everybody.
pace.
So you want to,
Yes,
create. And this, the way I went to a boarding school.
yeah,
It was everybody is running. So you're either at this grade or you're at this grade because we're all running. You better catch up.
catch
And
up.
the school wanted the fast runners. They wanted the talented people. They wanted those things.
Yeah.
So you would have those meetings with your parents where you need to do this. Your grade, this, and this needs to go up because there's no room
Mm,
for it, because if
mm,
this, and this doesn't go up, there's no, we won't, like American schools, if you do not do well in this grade and this grades, we're going to pull you from the team.
mm,
You're not going to run track. You're going
mm.
to lose your scholarship if you don't
Yeah,
do this. So what can
yeah.
we do to help you? What are some of the after school programs you can provide to help you
That's
catch
it.
up? We don't do that. Your parents are
We
on your
don't.
own getting after school teachers. I had a bunch of them, Ghanaian teachers, Mr. Dadzi, Mr. Bonwedi. I'll never forget them growing
You
up.
remember
But
them?
they help you passing, and my parents could afford it. How many parents
Yeah.
can afford to
Can,
have
yeah.
extra lessons for you to get that grade you need to get to maintain your
So
studies? Yes.
So what I told that guy who came to Nigeria is I told him, I said, you know what? The best way to design this thing is you can't do one hit wonders and get what you want.
Mm.
Why don't we design a program in Nigeria and take on 50 to 100 young people who are talented for maybe their GS1 or GS2?
Groom them.
You are building them academically, you're
Yep.
building them skill wise, and you're giving them in that talent. So by the time it gets to the end of the year for them to travel, you have a pool you can pick from. That's what I call parallel systems. So
Okay.
while there's a system that is doing what it's doing, you simply build something on this side that you can use to complement so you can achieve your aims. That's what it is. The challenge is just that it needs so much money, so much investment. For instance, he's no longer young now, he's old. I knew him when he was young. It's Fred Swanika. I'm sure you must have heard of the African Leadership Academy
Uh-huh.
and the African Leadership Universities. That's so much investment going to what he's doing. And for instance, if we are to do that, we need that kind of investment to say, we need to create programs. Your young people might not be able to, so you might not be able to charge them how much you would charge if you say you want to use the fees to make those systems sustainable.
Exactly. If
Okay,
you're charging fees and
so
their parents are supposed to pay, that's which is what we're
yeah,
doing on Flix Reps is finding
yeah,
affordable ways for them to get the knowledge they need to have so that that's
yeah.
not a barrier for them. And
It's,
scholarships
yes,
and having people donate that can say, sure, I'll take on a kid. Sure, I'll take
yeah,
on two kids this year.
yes, yeah. So
So let's
if you
go.
research, yeah,
Yeah, let's go back to your book because we went a little
yeah,
bit, and I love what we did because that
mm,
helps me to understand your goal for writing the book. It's not enough
yeah,
to just say I wrote a book. I want people to be
mm,
inspired and buy the book and read it.
mm,
I want people
mm,
to take action. There has to
yeah,
be a call to action after you read the
action,
book, and the call to
yes,
action is what you just discussed, which
yeah,
also opens up the conversation of international business.
yeah,
Doing international business is not just coming to the country and saying I want to invest. I also want to pump into what can pump back out to the world,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
stems a lot from the youth and what can this next generation do.
yes, ma'am. I
Training
agree.
them is so key, and this leadership revolution seems to me it's almost like seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, that we need to wake up the Moses generation. We need to wake up to how are we leading the Joshua generation, and what are
That's
we
it.
developing and putting in place for them.
Yeah,
Again, besides not just writing a book, what are we adding to that? What's the call to action to actually get things moving? If you're doing a
yeah,
business or working on developing business or doing business with a young person, how can you
mm,
groom them in international business that can get
yes,
them dollars, pounds? How can you groom them in trade, export,
yeah,
import,
export,
import,
yeah,
if they're
yeah,
not able to be the next president or run for office? These are things
exactly.
that are key because the growth and the success they have becomes part of your success story from
Yes,
writing this
ma'am.
book. So
Yes, ma'am.
my one of my next questions, tell me a little bit about the boy who harnessed the wind.
So
Oh, you have,
that
hey, by the way, my viewers, you have to get the book to understand what the question was. He's going to go into it, but you're still not going to get it. You got to go get the book on Amazon. We'll post the link. We're creating an international page for Chi Chi Movies. By the way, Chi Chi Movies TV, television network, Chi TV, is now available on all international platforms. We'll announce
mm,
more of that at the end of the show, meaning if you're in certain countries, you are going to be able to watch our streamed shows. And we are doing a little bit more international business where we're bringing speakers like Oludare, their books to the US, and doing business with them to
yeah.
enhance the youth, to grow our skills, and to grow a better tomorrow for our youth. So tell me a little bit about the boy who harnessed the wind. Don't give it away because they've got to get the book in order to learn more about the boy who harnessed the wind. But I was intrigued. So tell me, tell the viewers about that.
So it was from a story from a country in Africa. It was a rural settlement in a country in Africa that had a challenge from after the war. They really had a challenge with picking their pieces back, to putting the community back together, being able to work together. And then there was this young boy who literally had little or no education, who did not even, maybe at most a primary school certificate at the age where he was. All
Right.
right, young boy. Yeah, and he taught himself science. That's the summary of it. He would always go to this library to teach himself science. He
Mm,
taught himself how things work, how energy works. He was fascinated with physics. He
mm,
was fascinated with the windmills, and what he found. Now this is the principle. He did not try to solve all of the problems, but he looked for what he was intrigued by
mm,
and learned about it personally, and looked for how he can plug that in to the general well-being of his community. So in that story, there was pursuit of learning, which is critical.
mm,
There was passion for something. And thirdly, which is one thing this generation must learn, you are not building for yourself. You must learn to build for a community. You must be community focused. Never, and that's the danger. Well, me. I want to make it. I want to blow. I want to. The Nigerian parlance, you
right.
want to blow means you want to make it. Okay, you want to succeed.
Right,
Okay,
right,
but
right,
you must
right,
be
right.
thinking community, thinking community. So that's what the young boy did. He was able to come up after his intelligence and inventions. He was able to come up with a windmill that was able to generate power and an irrigation supply system for his community. So there was power, and there was enough water to be able to move through the farms to help them grow their crops. Young boy.
Wow.
Another thing I learned from that was that he was able to get the mentorship of the librarian, where he was going to read the books. The librarian was able to help him through. That's one other
My
thing,
next
very
question.
critical.
Yes, my next question. Valuable relationships and mentorship. Valuable
Yeah.
relationships and mentorship. That's my next
Mm,
question. But yes,
mm,
wow, how interesting.
mm,
So that again, you talked about valuable relationships. There's also a title
mm,
in your book that says not too young to, so you said valuable relationships, but
mm,
I'm not sure. When you say valuable relationships, are you
mm,
talking of the people we meet along the journey, or are you
mm,
specifically talking about mentorship in order to find people who are going to guide and lead you, not necessarily always charge you, right?
mm,
Because sometimes
mm.
that could be in the way, but lead you
Yeah.
to success. Tell me a little bit about the valuable relationships in relation to mentorship for the growth of the youth.
So what when I spoke about leadership, what came to mind for me was there will always be the vertical relationships, there will always be the horizontal relationships. So there are relationships that will always go upward, there will be relationships that will go sideways, and there will be relationships that will even come downward. So that what that means is that horizontal are your friends, your people, your the people you call your guys, okay,
Right.
your buddies, your classmates, people who you literally go to school with. There are people who pay loads and loads of money not to learn anything from certain schools, but to meet people. Okay, so they want to go into certain communities. So that's why they spend so much to be able to
Mm,
relate with people. So those are relationships. So what I meant by valuable relationships is as you go through life, pay attention to relationships you are building.
mm,
There's a
mm.
friend of mine who will soon probably be running for office in Nigeria, a top office in Nigeria. And somebody was speaking to me today and says, you know that if this guy enters office, you're automatically going to be his chief of staff. I laughed. Like, eh, if he gets into office, I will literally have to get something done within the government to help him get his job done because our relationship has been built over time.
Right.
And it's the same principle everywhere in the world. People don't go and pick random people. Let me give you an instance. So I'm going to say this because I'm going to be talking to a mixture of communities and cultures. In Nigeria and in Africa, people are quick to say, oh, in the Western world, people are picked on mediocrity. People are picked on competence. Sorry, people are picked because they are competent. You don't just go and pick people. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, guys, it is a universal principle. I will only pick who I know and who I trust. There's no, don't come and tell me because it's America, is in Canada, so they pick random people. That's not correct. What you would tell me is that, which is what on this
Mm,
part of the continent we don't ensure, is that can the person get the job done? Even if it's your friend, can they get the job done? Okay,
okay.
but
Yeah.
but it's social capital. Everything everywhere works on social capital. You in even the remotest of jungles is is social capital. Imagine if I became the governor of my state and I have a friend who is a good educationist, beautiful educationist. I know the time he has spent in education. I will make him the secretary of education. That's no brainer.
Right.
I know him, I trust him, and he's competent.
Right. Right.
Okay. So for me, that's what I mean by valuable relationships. So valuable relationships also will help you improve your capacity as a person. So you have friends who are constantly inspiring you to do better. All right. Then as you grow up, so you are looking to yourself and saying to yourself, this area of field I want to play in, who are the people that I can model or can hold my hands?
Key
Who are
people.
the people that have gone ahead that can show me the ropes? Who understand the kind of conversations I should be having? For instance, let me give you an instance. Last year, during the turmoil when young people were clamoring, I was one of those people who said the point at which we started to say we don't need the older people was when we missed it. When
Mm,
people began to say, oh, no, they should get out. They didn't do anything, but they want to come out. No, sir. Or else you are saying you are going to be young forever. You are also going to transit to a certain age where the younger people too will call you irresponsible or call you responsible, depending on what you are able to do. These people you are
right.
abusing are the ones who fought for democracy. My
Mm,
father's generation, my father's generations faced the military. They faced military tanks. They were in university when they were shot pellets of bullets. because they were fighting the military. So how do you wake up in 2020 because you are now on social media, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you begin to insult, that generation that they don't know they don't know what's up. They no.
Right.
Every generation was important to where we are as a people. So
Right.
it's a continuum. It's not, you don't forget it. It's a continuum. So I feel mentorship is critical to it. You don't force it. Okay, you don't force mentorship, but of course, if you're
Right.
somebody that's passionate about a particular thing, you look for how you can serve a person in an area or get to know a person. I'm going to use this story to end this point. A friend of mine always wanted to meet Richard Branson, and he made sure he read all of Richard Branson's books, Chichi, cover to cover, line to line, page to page. All the videos Robert Branson has ever spoken in, he accessed it on YouTube, he read it. Chichi, let me tell you how life and nature works. He met Richard Branson once. He only had 20 minutes to meet Richard Branson. Chichi, he was prepared for that meeting.
Wow.
You couldn't have read
He has
all his
prepared all his
books.
life for it.
You couldn't have read all his books and all his videos and not been ready.
Yeah.
Guess what the guy said? Sir, in your book, Speed of Thought, chapter 4, in the 14th paragraph, there was a line you said there about so, so, and so. Please, can you explain it to me? Woo! The man was not shocked at the question. The man was shocked at the precision with which he asked the question. So the man knew he wasn't there for the photo op. The man knew he wasn't there to take a selfie and paste it on his Instagram page that he met Richard Branson. The guy was there because he needed that connection. He needed that mentorship. So young people must begin to see life like that. Mentorship is not just to take photo ops and have them on your Instagram page. There's actually a connection you need to get to where you're going to and better yourself. Thank you.
Wow. 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 So, who are we to thank for the work you've put into this book? We're going to put the link for folks to get a copy of your book. We're gonna make the link available. It is on Amazon, and we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up next for you and where people can find you. But let's start with thanking those that have made this possible for you, for this book to be available.
So maybe I'll thank my mom. Maybe I thank my mom for because why I specifically singled her out was she's the reason why I finished school. My mom will have chosen to say, you know what, I'm a single mother now, and I don't have the finances to be able to put you. My mom made sure we went to the best of schools in Nigeria. I went to King's College, one of the best secondary schools in Nigeria.
I went to Queen's College. Hey.
So she made me go through the best. In
Schools,
fact, I did
yes.
A levels. The only reason I didn't travel then was because my mother had this belief that she didn't want a child to live far from her. So who was going to take care of me at 16, going off to America or the United Kingdom? So she made me, but I went to a private university. So we had maybe the best things we did. So I thank her for that, because that's singular. So most of the people I know in my life in Nigeria now went to King's College. You can imagine what my circle is.
Yeah, your friends are high
Do you
grade, high
understand?
level. Yeah, if you say Queen's College, they're just on a level. They just do things a little differently, and they're like, and everybody else is like, oh, you went to QC, you're bougie, you're this. There was a
So
level.
that's what it was. So those are part of the things my mother did, and that's also what relationships do. If you can, if you do whatever it takes. No, let me not say that before people think you can do anything, but make sure you get yourself in the right environment. In the right environment, in the right circle. So I thank my mom for that. I thank my wife. I thank my friends. I thank life. I thank life itself, because the greatest lessons come from life. I thank life itself for preparing me for it. So I'm going to say an experience that also served as a trigger point for the book. When I was in the university, I really wanted to be part of because in my secondary school, I was like a house captain. So I was in charge of a group of people based on the house. And when I went into university, I also wanted to continue my trend.
Your leadership trend.
Even if there was a wrong definition behind leadership, which is one thing I did not say. I'll say it after this story. And I wanted to be a leader, and I wanted to lead people. And I remember then I was climbing up the stairs of our library in school then, and it just hit me. You don't need an office to be influential. I was like,
To be a leader.
it says you don't need an office to be influential. I was like, wow,
Mm.
wow. That singular line, when I was leaving the university, Chichi, I won the award for the most popular person on campus. I won an award there's an award they call Total Man of the Year. Total Man means he played sports, he was an academic, he was in, because of that one liner, you don't need an office to be influential.
To be influential.
That was
Wow.
the trigger for this book. You don't need to be president, you don't need to be governor, which is the balance of my book, which is the pivot of the book. Leadership is not about the office you occupy. It's
Right.
about the solution you provide. It's about the influence you generate. It's
Right.
about the beauty you give whatever environment you find yourself.
Right.
Because I remember clearly, I'll end with this. I remember clearly the reason why I wanted to be a leader at university again was because when we were in secondary school, I had this notion that leaders get away with stuff.
You can do what they want.
And that's what that system created. You had
Mm.
a if every other person was taking one loaf of bread, you would take two. You see where the
You
corruption
can't
comes from in
take two.
Nigeria?
No one's gonna
You see where
say
the corruption,
anything.
you see
Yeah.
where the corruption comes from in Africa?
Yeah.
Because we are taught that leadership means you will get more, you have excuse to get away with stuff. Most of these things were bred from secondary schools or high schools. Most of these notions and perspectives were bred from high school. So this book is to say, you know what? That's not what leadership is. Leadership is
Yeah.
about being impactful, transforming, and being useful to whatever environment or community you find yourself.
I'm reading a book on intercultural communication, and
Mm,
it spells that that where your childhood, okay,
mm,
by a certain age, there is a thought
mm.
process. There
Yeah.
is a culture membership that you're a
Mm,
part of. And that
mm.
culture membership sort of shapes and grooms you. It's now
Yes.
difficult to divert from that
Un-
after a
to
certain
unlearn.
age. Yes,
To
to
unlearn it.
unlearn it, which is
Mm,
why the ages 11
mm.
to 30 something are quite crucial for the
Yeah.
mentality to change,
Yeah.
to understand. Because being a leader is being a mother at home. You
That's
have
it.
to lead your children. It's not just being
That's
sitting at the board of directors in the office making decisions. It is leading the children so that they have a also next generation mentality, not a
yeah.
me. When you raise them, they don't think of only self. They go into
Yeah.
their communities and decide, I also want to lead. I want to help others succeed. I want to hold the
That's it.
door open for the old woman. I want to
That's
carry the
it.
bags of my neighbor that's got these heavy bags. I'm just not going to say, yeah, what's up? I'm going to say good
Mm.
morning. And I'm going to
Good
add sir
morning.
or ma. These little things are key, right? But
Yes.
we always just thought leadership was because in
Office.
secondary school, leadership was if I'm a prefect, I eat more food.
That's it.
Yes,
I can
I can
sleep.
make my bed
I can
late.
sleep.
I
I
can
can
sleep
sleep when I
in.
want to sleep.
Yes. So but what I really, really love about Queen's College was etiquette, decorum. It was do unto others as you do for yourself. So you can't just say that, you're gonna inspect the dorm on Saturday. Your bed has to be made as well. Your clothes
Yeah.
have to be folded as a leader as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the students could actually report you. So leadership always came back with the backlash of it's okay for other people to say your leadership isn't working, right?
Yeah.
Which I believe is key to this book that we're talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leadership is service.
Yes. That's
It's
it.
service first. It's being the
That's it.
janitor. It's being the
That's it.
cleaner. It's taking on the
That's it.
responsibility when nobody else can. And it's treating the janitor like you would treat yourself.
That's it.
The lowest person in the room, like you
That's
would.
it.
I am so grateful for the time you've
Mm.
given us a whole hour of your time
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you.
And I know you're in Nigeria, so you're way at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night. I am
Mm.
so super grateful. Tell folks where they can find you, where they can find the university. You're wearing the shirt. I wrote that down in my book, and then I saw the shirt, and I said to myself, "You've got to tell us where people can find it, when people can find you. You are taking on
mm,
international students, so on FlixRep's platform,
mm.
Oludare can coach you for a less rate as a youth versus what it will cost you if you went to him directly. If you want to get him to coach you, remember he can develop your business, your idea. He can take you from start to finish, and some of the key things that you need: guidance, clarity. This is what he can do on an international platform through FlixReps. Tell people where they can find you, where they can find your book, before we end the show today.
Okay, so the book is on Amazon. You just go to the Leadership Revolution on Amazon. You can get a copy from there. There's actually a hard copy and an audio copy on Amazon. So
Okay.
I think you can get both there. My name is Oludare Akinlaja. It's everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. And my email too is oludareakinlaja@gmail.com. Just my name at gmail.com. So you can send a mail, we can talk. And of course, I'm on FlixRep. So FlixRep is the bomb. FlixRep is the navigation point. So that's where
Thank
you
you.
can that's where you can hold my neck. Like you said, you are on FlixRep. So you must respond to us on FlixRep.
So it's
Okay?
fun to us. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for
Yeah.
all my to my viewers, those who are gonna watch, share the video. Thank
Mm.
you, Mom. My mom is online chatting with us, and she put a comment in
Wow.
the chat. Thank you as usual. Again, mom sees support. You can't beat it. You can't be. I
No,
think of
there,
my
yeah.
mother everywhere I go. Before I do something, I'm like, oh, my mother thing. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you
My
to
mother is on Facebook, so I'm careful what I post.
right, right.
Because they will talk, they don't know that they can hide their comments. They respond in the comments.
Right. They can't just chat with me, Mom. There's a messenger. But no, Mom is like publicly going to let you know. I saw you, Bounty. I swore that my mom would not speak Igbo or Yoruba on the chat. So thank
Woo!
God for that. Thank
Massive.
y'all so much.
Thank
Remember
you.
that you can actually watch Chi TV, and we're gonna post this video, edit it, put some things in it, put a little bit about the book in this video, and it's gonna be available on Chi TV. So Chi TV is now available on every country on Roku, your Roku device, on Amazon, Fire Stick, and Apple TV Plus. So if you want to see and watch our shows, our international shows, we have gone international. Now we haven't
Yeah.
released and started marketing it, so this is the first time. Thank you very much. That we
Woo!
and it's all thanks to FlixReps, because FlixReps
Mm.
gave us 183 films that a lot were
Wow.
international. We didn't know what to do with them and how to have the conversation with people on an international level without providing an international platform. Special thanks to MEDC. I got a call from them. They were like, hey, we can help you get this international thing going. MEDC
Wow.
is a Michigan based company that helps to inspire businesses and help them grow small businesses. And I got a call from Jacob. Shout out to Jacob Schroeder. I will send him this video. And he gave me some ideas. And here we are. We are international. You will be seeing more information about how you can watch us, details, specifics. And if you're any country, look for us on Roku app. We're there. Chi TV is there. Look for us on the Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV Plus. We'll be creating these shows and many other international shows where we're having conversations with international business owners in how to improve the next generation and how to improve business. Because one thing I'll be doing with Oludare is working with him on getting him seen on the American platform, while he works
Yeah.
on getting me seen in African platform, being influential in his with his African connections. Oludare is connected to over 20 countries around the globe where he's working with the youth, and I just want those connections. I want to be connected with the right people who are going to be revolutionary in my generation. So thank you again, sir, for this time.
Thank
I'm
you.
humbled by your meeting with us. God bless you, and we'll
Thank you.
talk soon. Thanks. Shout out
Please.
to everybody who watched this video. Share it, share it, share it. We'll see you guys soon on Chi TV and our live videos and the late night show with Chi Chi Styles. God bless you. Have a
Thank
fantastic
you.
afternoon. Bye
And
bye.
you too. Bye.